And now we're back as we always are. Every week.
Every week we're back.
And that nothing's changed. Well, maybe
this week definitely changed for the last 7 weeks.
Something did change. You know what? We're just cue the intro. Hello, guys. It's Two Latin Brothers Podcast, also known as T.L.B.P. I'm Victor.
And I'm Adrian.
And finally, after weeks
of much anticipation,
we finally...
That's funny. I literally got hit up in the DMs over this.
Yeah. We finally have a guest. Someone we all know and love, recognize, you know.
Making me blush.
Oh, there you go. We have Outlaw back. We have Nathaniel.
Me back.
Yeah, there you go. We brought him back.
Yeah, we have you back. I don't know. Like, we were like bouncing around with people, and then Victor messaged him, and he's just like, I'm down.
Well,
it's because I mean, last time was so much fun. I was like, why would I not come back?
I don't know. There's something about it. Everybody tells me that. They're like, why is it so fun just talking?
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
it doesn't make any sense. I talk all the time, but suddenly, as soon as I'm being recorded, I'm like, now this is cool.
Yeah, that's literally everybody. Literally everybody. If I could just like take that and just like insert that audio every time somebody says that, it's just like it'd be great.
That should be the summary for the podcast. Talking is cool. Boom. That's your description every episode.
What's really funny is like a lot of people will be like, oh, it's time to wrap up. And I'll like chop out the ending because they'll be like, what, really already? Or how has it been an hour already? We've literally been talking like 5 minutes. I'm like, no, we're like at an hour and a half. Like,
yeah,
I'm cropping like more than half of this out.
Yeah. I like that. And then last time you guys fed me, of course we can't be fed. You guys can't feed me this time. But
yeah, I can't feed you.
I mean, we could start grabbing people's address.
Send them an Uber Eats. I'm not Ubering Eats
food.
The
podcast over Skype, and then you Uber Eats me food after.
Just as long as you stay on call.
What did we eat with you last time? I don't even remember.
We made him food.
We
made rice and meat.
I can't remember because like
with a little bit of
look, man, I fed more of his friends than people I know. I fed more of Victor's friends than people like that are closer to me. Like
you're the plug. You're the food plug.
Yes, because I have a job. That's great, guys.
It's also the best way to be compensated for being on a podcast. It's like, yeah, we could give you money, but food. I know which one I'd pick.
You know what, Nate? We've only ever had one guest who brought us food.
Yeah, only one guest.
Oh, great. Now I feel like shit. Way to go, guys.
No, it's really funny because like we were like, because it was very last minute because he said, maybe I'll be able to come through.
Because he was like an on-call worker.
Yeah, so he was like, if I get a call right before, because usually around the time when we were going to record, he gets a call to go into work. So we're like, okay. And then right before, he's like, all right, guys, I'm on my way right now. And then we're like, okay. And then he showed up with like a box of Timbits. For those of you who don't know what a Timbit is, it's like a donut hole.
It's not a donut hole.
That's
hole.
What a Timbit is. It's a donut hole.
It's what they call it in America.
Yeah.
Nah, those things are Timbits.
Dude, I'm trying to cater to our 25% American audience. Okay.
You're 25% American?
Yeah. Yo, 5% of our audience is from Ireland. Ireland's still going strong.
No,
man.
I know. They've been listening. Great.
No idea who those people are, but I'm telling you, man, there's some guy who's listening to us very faithfully, and he'd be telling his friends about it in Ireland.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was checking my Spotify stats, and I have like one listener in like somewhere in like South Africa. I was like, sick. I don't know how they're like South Africa.
Very odd like analytics. What is it like? We go through the list, and every now and then like a new country will show up, and we're like, huh, like
how did it get there?
Like, the new one was the recent one was like was it India?
No, it was Iraq.
Iraq was on the list.
Yeah, we got Iraq.
And I was
on the
like,
list now.
Who in the world from Iraq is listening to Latin Canadian boys who are super liberal? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
That's great. Oh
It's
wow.
crazy. They have like Morocco.
No, imagine being in Iraq listening to our podcast. This is how they rebel.
This is the rebellion.
Freedom fighting movement from the Two Latin Brothers podcast.
Oh man.
Brought to you in part by from Canada.
Flag. Just holding that up. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get a flag.
We're gonna start a revolution.
No, we're gonna start our own little nation.
Hang it behind you.
I mean, only you would see it.
But it'd still be kind of cool. You guys would have a flag.
Look, I'm working on us getting like a proper studio, which is a lot of work. I'll have you know.
I can imagine.
Just the logistics behind almost everything right now is so up in the air because all of a sudden I was like, I have like a million projects going on in the background, and then overnight everything went on pause.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Are you going for like a home studio or are you trying to get an actual spot?
I'm trying to get like an actual spot.
Oh, that'd be great. That's the dream. That's the dream.
It is.
It really is.
But you know what's really crazy is that we've been doing this for over 80 weeks straight, and I've yet to see a return in revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's ways to make money by using this, but like, you know.
I feel like from podcasts, most of your revenue would just come from sponsors.
Yeah. So like
The
biggest issue has been is like we have an audience. It's just our audience isn't big enough for most sponsors.
Yeah.
If not all sponsors. Because like I was looking it up and like this guy's like, because the platform we use, they have like a community on Facebook.
Right.
I know, right? I sound ancient talking about Facebook with you guys. Anyway.
I was like, no one over the age of 38 uses Facebook. I'm sorry.
That's not true. Facebook, when I want to say when I was like 11 or 12, Facebook was like popping, man.
Yeah, but now, who uses Facebook? No one under the age of 38. I will tell you that.
You know what's funny about that? When I was 12, that was 11 years ago.
Wait a minute. Damn, you old as hell.
He's like, wait.
He's like, I was like, I'm gonna pause there for a second. Let me think about this. Let me pull up my mathematics.
It's really funny. Like there's stuff like that like every now and then I'll think back to a moment in time when I was like, younger, and I'll be like, that wasn't so long ago. But then I'll think about it and be like, wait a minute. When I was 12, or like what the one that hit me really hard was like, when I was 10, I can recall like what was going on like with my friend group and everything.
Really?
And then all of a sudden be like, wait a minute, that was 13 years ago.
Holy.
Most of my life.
Holy.
Your life too. And then all of a sudden it'll hit me even harder because what's really interesting is that I have no contact with these people. So like I'll be like, I wonder if they're even still alive. Like it's been a long enough time now where they couldn't even be alive anymore.
They could be in a
like,
ditch somewhere, for all you know.
What is it with you in the ditch?
Look, I have a go-to death spot with like just if anybody dies, I just assume they died in a ditch.
Wait a minute. Does this happen frequently?
No, it's just every time we talk about like, someone dying or him dying, he's like, I'll probably be in a ditch.
I'm like, if I died, just look in the ditches. I'll probably be there. I don't know why.
It's just go to that.
30 minutes late for the podcast. You know where he is. In the ditch.
I mean,
it's either a ditch or the bathroom. Either.
I mean, we're in the same we live in the same room. So for him to be late to a recording session is really low right now.
Yeah,
we're like, we've gotten to a point now, Nate, where like we talk so much when we get onto the podcast, we don't know what to talk about.
Well, yeah, I can only imagine since you guys like live together.
It's like before when we had like a lot of stuff going on, we'll be like, I have something to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you until we're on the podcast.
Yeah. Now it's just like, I already told you this. You were there.
Or it's like, I'm going to tell you this again for content.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about though. Like I'm an adult next month. I'm not ready for that.
No one.
You're not ready to be what are you talking about? I'm still not an adult. Like
no,
I joke about
adult.
Oh, of course, but like legally, like I mean, like even though I joke all the time with my parents, they'll be like, you kid. I'm like, no, I'm an adult. Like, what are you saying right now? I'm a full-fledged adult.
And then it's like, we'll go buy the groceries, and you go,
Now, Nate, you'd be surprised how many times I've gone to go buy groceries.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, I don't know. At one point, I don't know. I still don't feel like a kid. Like, I'm a college graduate, and I still don't feel like an adult.
No, as soon as the bills really be hitting you, then.
Look, Nate. Look. This is my monthly thing. So like, currently I'm unemployed, but well, because I'm also trying to find a job in my field. But then COVID hit, so then basically everyone's like, we're not hiring anymore. That's like that's like a no go, boy. So like,
or if there is work, it's like with people everywhere. So populated areas.
Also, they're not paying great, so it's like,
am I gonna go risk myself?
Is my life worth getting paid less for a job that I studied for than if it weren't the pandemic? Is this really, like?
Yeah, no, I would do that. I would say, hell no.
Yeah. So also, is my life worth it? Like, the other thing too is like, I have asthma, so like, right. I'm already at a high risk position.
You're immunocompromised.
Thanks for reminding me. I didn't want to use the medical jargon, but here we go.
Totally.
So like, it's already like I'm predisposed already. So it's like my lungs aren't gonna function as it is already. And then on top of that, it's like, hey, by the way, yeah, you gotta go work with people.
Have fun.
Good luck. Oh, and by the way, we're only gonna pay you minimum wage to do a job you studied to do for who knows how many years.
Seriously? They offered you?
Yeah, that's what it was looking like, man. No, in July, it was like depressing. I have a friend who moved to Montreal, who studied at a different college than the one I went to, to get a job that paid like, I think like $2 more to do like a job in, like, she moved to another city to get $2 more. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
I guess that's like almost the new normal for now.
Yeah. The other thing too is like, I'm not like currently, thank goodness, I like me and money. I am like, I crunch numbers like an insane person. Like me and my bank account, like everyone's like, like, oh, let me check my bank account, see how much I got, right? In my head,
recite it.
No, I tap Nate, and I already know how much I have left.
Yeah, that's not even math. That's just magic. Like, I don't.
No, just magic.
I can't.
It's like they forget math.
Honestly, I swear, I'm doing the intro to my math class online, and honestly, they asked like the most basic questions, and I honestly sat at my computer for like 5 minutes. Like, it was like adding fractions, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that.
Okay, what grade did you guys learn how to add a fraction in?
I don't remember.
Do you know?
Like,
okay, you learned the basics in elementary, and then like you go back over in high school.
Yeah, like in like grade 5.
I remember I learned it in grade 7.
No, I think you start fractions in like grade 4. I don't even know when you start fractions.
Okay, so I can
start fractions. It's like there's 8 pieces of the pie. I take 2 pieces. What part of like it's like really basic stuff, and
so
then
like that's like grade 3. I'd say about grade 5, grade 6. You start learning.
So, I had like a crash course on fractions when I was in grade 7. In the same day, I learned how to add, subtract, divide, and multiply fractions.
What the hell? What?
Yeah, we took 2 hours and banged it all out. And I remember we were like the smartest kid in the class. He was like so frustrated because he could not grasp how to like divide fractions. And then my teacher's like, go ask Adrian. He already figured it out. And Nate, at this point in time, I was like that kid who like took a nap in the back of the room because he did not care.
Because you already knew everything, or just because you didn't care?
I just didn't care. Also, like I'm dyslexic, so like me and school are just like enemies. We just anything that involves me reading is like I can't right now. Like that was like my attitude towards like everything when I was younger. Anything that involved me like having to read was just like that.
Attitude now, and I'm not dyslexic. I can only imagine.
Well, like I mean, but anyways, so like this kid walks up to me, and like you could just see like the nervousness in his face, or like the ashamement, like the embarrassment of like not being able to figure this out. And this bum here is gonna teach me how to do this now.
Bro, we
Yeah.
can't,
So then I showed him how to do it.
my university can't know about this. They'll revoke my admission if they know I can't add fractions.
So what are you studying?
What am I studying?
Yeah.
Psychology, but it's a Bachelor of Arts, so it's very minimal math, biology, that sort of stuff. It's a lot of basic biology, basic statistics. So I don't
Psychology.
really much.
Interesting. Sounds like fun. Pretty soon, every
Both-
time you talk to someone, he'll start psychoanalyzing.
Wow, psychology. That sounds great.
It's so much. What is it like? I have we have when I was in my program, we would like, hey, are you? We would have like conversation where like, hey, you look down, are you all right? And then the person would just be like, yo, because I just studied social working. You're like, yo, stop being a social worker and just be my friend. Like, it's like, yo, stop
Literally
social
his life.
working the social worker. Like, just stop.
Honestly, I mean,
It was like this running joke, but it got to a point where it's so true. Every time I would talk to someone or interact with someone, I'd always be like, hey, how are you feeling? Are you all right? And then I had a professor tell us, she's like, guys, I've done my job right when that's the only kind of conversation you could have now.
Yeah.
how's your childhood trauma doing? And like, what?
It's like I'm just being a friend, but how was it?
What is it? No, but like there was this one time I was in a class where we were talking about like people, and most people in that program have gone through some traumatic experience in their life to be there or to want to help people. And then when they got to me, I was like, so is like what happened? Everybody's like curious, like what happened? Like what kind of messed up childhood did you have to end up here, kind of thing. And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, and this guy who he's like a recovering drug addict. He like had like this crazy story about like how, and he was like super vocal about it. He's like, if you want to go tell somebody to inspire them, go tell them my story.
Oh, just
But
like, damn.
Yeah, but he had like this crazy story. Anyway, but he asked me, "Are your parents still together?" I'm like, "Yeah, they've been together for 27 years now." And he was just like, "What?" Well, at the time it was 26, but now it's 27. But he was like, "Seriously?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "And they still love each other?" And then I'm like, "I've never seen two people more in love." And he was just like, "Okay." And then he's like, "I'm gonna ask you this, but I don't mean to sound like racist or anything." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Did they beat you as a child?" And then I'm like, I live in Canada. What are you talking about? Right? So it's like, even like, I'm like, and then I explained to them like what my dad, especially my father's parenting style is like so like off the chart. My dad will sit you down and discuss it with you.
Yeah.
And he won't get mad. He won't yell at you. But you know what's irritating is the fact that he's not getting mad.
Yeah. It makes you like yell
It's
at
like
me
the
or
most,
something.
it's like the most reverse psychological thing I've ever gone through in my entire life.
Yeah.
It's like a worse version of I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Just be mad at me.
yeah, no, as a teenager, you want him to get mad. You're like, just yell at me, please.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm not gonna do it. It's okay, don't worry. Well, he's like, you need to understand. I was a teenager once too.
Stop understanding me, God.
So then, they're all like, okay, so did you like lose like a best friend or something? Like,
Like something had to have happened.
something had to. Then my guys, like, there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I just want to help people. And they were all like, wow, like,
So
how did this happen? How did you end up? Because everyone had like some crazy childhood trauma. Like,
Right.
and this one girl, she was like, we're all just broken. And I'm like, I'm not broken. I'm perfectly fine.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, but it was like, and then it just came to a point where like, they would just like ask me questions to see like, if
They
there
were
was
looking
like,
for something
yeah,
that went wrong.
something tiny,
What-
something.
With you.
Something
Like the only thing that I like account for being wrong is that I didn't learn how to read till I was like in grade 5. Like that's it.
Great.
Because I was dyslexic.
Oh, right. That makes sense. I kind of forgot that part.
It's like, wait, what? How is that
How
so
did I
traumatic?
get to school to grade 5 without reading?
Well,
But
there's a lot of visual learning, right?
Well, like, no, I'm not a visual learner either, so that kind of doesn't pan out.
There's a lot of tactile learning.
That's what they tried. It didn't work. It didn't pan out like they planned.
see, but that makes sense.
I'm an auditory learner,
And
so
I'm a visual learner.
you can imagine when it comes to music how useful that is.
Yeah. Holy crap.
I freak out my brother and my sister sometimes because sometimes I can listen to a song once and know all the lyrics to it. Like
That's man, I was in the car the other day and my girlfriend asked me what my favorite song off of my own album was, and it took me. There's 5 songs on that album. It took me so long to remember what songs were there, let alone listening to a song once and remembering all the lyrics. I had to remember the names of my songs that I had just released.
So here's the
when I was counting them on my finger. I thought, okay, so there's I was like, oh yeah, it was the worst.
It's like all of them. Just all of them.
So this is Victor's biggest issue with me because I'm so good at this. Victor will like play anything, and I'll be like, I know that song, and like 10 seconds later, I'll have it up on YouTube.
Yeah, we were talking about this last time about
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so like it's one of those like, but what bugs me is like when something sounds so similar to another song, but it's not this song because it's literally like one chord off from being the same song, or it's like a minor or a major change in the entire like chord progression, and you're just like, they basically stole it, but not really.
Hey, if it gets past copyright, it gets past copyright.
I don't know, like there's a few things where like it's
like in pulp and pop music in general. There's a lot of
all of pop music is just recycled chords. It's all the same thing.
Well, I mean, like, the 4 chords.
Yeah.
I mean, basically every pop song, just ever.
Yep.
That's why people learn guitar so quickly and then never get better, because they learn the first 4 chords and then you can play basically any song, and then they're like, well, I know every song, and then they don't play anymore.
And then that's when you're like, here's a minuet. Here you go.
No, here's a capo. How about you figure out how to use this?
I mean, you just use the same 4 chords with a capo on.
No, but that's how little they know about guitar. They know the 4 chords and that's it. They go, what's the object? I put this on the strings?
Also, like, if you play the same chords with, like, even on the first fret, everything's down like a semitone.
Yeah.
So, like, everything just changed.
Everything just goes to the key of C, right?
My brain just can't right now, bro. Like, I just can't.
I don't remember. Whatever.
There's a
music theory in so long.
Don't lose it. You're writing music.
Yeah, no. Like traditional music in history, like the old stuff. Man, I graduated. That was it. That's all I need. I
Do you still remember your circle of fifths?
Unfortunately, no. I could name it off. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna ask you to recite it, just so I don't embarrass you. But I
mean, it's not that complicated. You just move to every fifth.
Nah.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so like I was telling my brother the other day, how he's like, where were we?
I have no clue.
Oh, we drove by. We were like in the car. We were all together, and we drove by this like jazz bar because we were like out of the city. And we drove by this jazz bar. My brother's like, "Yo, you think they let me go in?" I'm like, "Yo, man, do you know how to play like any blues scales?" My brother's like, "Yeah, I think I can do that." I'm like, "Bro, because that's like the unwritten language of any jazz bar."
No, I remember there was a time we actually jammed, you and me in class. You were just like,
wait, which time?
Which time? No, there was a time you pulled up a 12-bar blues, and then you just started doing the bass part, and then I just kind of walked over.
Oh,
kind of started jamming.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Anyway, sometimes I wish I was around to film these moments with you guys. Like, I tell Victor all the time, like, yo, man, if I would have vlogged, the amount of content I would have had just with you and your friends is absurd.
I mean, we had a lot of moments like that where he'd just be playing something. I'm like, oh, what was that? And then he'd just like play something, and I'd play something else on the other side, or vice versa. Yeah.
And we could get away with it because it was music class.
Exactly.
Like, I remember when I was in music class. Actually, we weren't in music class. We were in math class. But we were all bored out of our minds, and we were all in band. Like, half of us were in band. And all of a sudden, someone starts tapping out their part, and I can't remember what song it was, but they start tapping it out on their desk. And then all of a sudden, because like everyone came in at a different part, we all just kind of like jumped in on our part.
Oh.
All of a sudden, like half the room is just tapping their pencil on their desk.
It just sounds like a bunch of random people just tapping.
Yeah,
and
like
tapping.
it just like sounds like complete trash. But in our heads, it was the most beautiful thing we had ever done. But to any normal person, they're like, "What are they doing? Why are they all off? Like, why does this sound like such trash?"
They don't know how to tap in
They're
time.
like, "How are they all band kids? Like, this makes no sense."
Oh yeah, that's what happened with our old band director. He would like if he ever got us to like all sizzle one part, if you walked in and didn't know what was going on, you just hear a bunch of people going tss, tss, and then it just sounded like that with like 35 kids. And you go, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of moments like that.
And then the Fire Nation attacked. I'm sorry, everyone.
We're actually rewatching that right now, currently.
Yeah.
It's so good. Oh my god. Okay, can I get a little off topic?
Sure, go
Go.
for it.
What do you think of the Legend of Korra if you watched it?
Okay. I mean, I like that they expanded on like the lore of the Avatar,
Right.
because they talk about Wan, and then they expand on that, right?
It goes past just Aang.
Yeah, like, and not just that, they also like they tackle the spirit world more in a way where it makes more sense now.
They give more
I-
history.
Yeah, as opposed to like in like the actual Avatar, and just kind of like magically fell into it every time.
Yeah. He's like, oh.
Like all of a sudden he's like,
It's
in
like
the
I'm
spirit
captured.
world.
What?
No, like all of a sudden it's like, I'm in the spirit world. Like every time, like that should be a meme. I'm in the spirit. But
You
But,
fell
like-
asleep in class, woke up. I'm in the spirit world.
Oh yeah. He just blinked for really long and just and then surrounded by spirits.
yeah, so like, but like in Legend of Korra, she like physically like walks into it.
She like learns how to do it.
Yeah, she
Also,
doesn't
she like
appear. She doesn't
yeah.
get-
Also, she
Wait.
learns how to communicate with the spirits through bending, which was also like a really cool aspect of it.
Well, I mean, you also have to keep in mind that she was taught properly, unlike Aang,
who had
Alright.
like
who had like no specific teachers.
like an 18-month crash course on how to do everything.
Yeah, he had like
Yeah.
a year and a half.
I don't know. I don't think you can beat the original personally. I'm not a huge Legend of Korra fan.
Oh no, like I mean, there are a lot of things that don't make sense in
Oh,
Legend of Korra. Like I mean, like a lot of the like villains are just like they kind of just like magically appear, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like, and then some of their motivations are like really flimsy at best.
right.
And you're just like, what's the guy who can take away like the bending? What's his name?
Come on.
Can't remember his name right now.
Come on.
And then he takes away her bending, and then it's really funny because basically the sequence is she gets all her bending back, and then when she fights him again, you know what happens?
Mhm.
She literally the last hit is with air.
Huh? How's that? What?
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
it was because she hadn't learned airbending at that point or something like that.
Yeah. Well, she hadn't mastered it yet.
Right. But
So-
it would still get taken away.
No, but it was the only one that she hadn't had like she could still use.
Right.
When all her other bits, so she like lost earth, water, and fire, but she still had like air. And then what happens? The last finishing move on this guy is with air. Like what?
it's like I could have blown at this guy hard enough and he would have fallen over.
No, it's like no. So it's like literally like the entire episode prior to that was a complete waste of time.
You
Yeah.
could have been with wind.
Here's my biggest nitpick with Legend of Korra, right? It takes place like a generation or two after Aang.
Yeah.
How did they get through such a technological developmental phase of society in 2 generations? You go before there's like they're living in like decent houses, like they're not huts, but they're nothing crazy. And then you go 2 generations, they got cars and like flying robots.
Yo,
And
Nate, look at this. Think about it like this. Since the year 2000, our technological advancement,
Advancement.
advancement, I can't speak today for some reason, makes no sense.
No. But in the year 2000,
Think about it. Think about it in our context. Back in the year 2000, people were walking around with a literally almost a brick-sized phone. Nowadays, it's like, how thin can I make this? How
Right, but-
thin?
But
Yeah,
we had somewhere to start from. Like
We had
had
2 decades. They had 2 generations.
computers, and then we were able to shrink that down into a cell phone and then like get it small. But they didn't have anything. They was living in like ancient China, and then they went to like the Industrial Revolution in like what 60 years. I'm getting way off topic, but
no, I know, but I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, it's kind of like what they did to Naruto.
it's exactly what they did to Naruto.
Yeah, it's exactly what
Everyone
they did to
playing
Naruto.
video games all of a sudden. You're like, how did they? How
Where
did you?
did it come from?
How did you? Like, I like,
No, like I don't understand. In Naruto, they have vending machines. They have they have like walkie-talkies. Why is nobody pulling out guns?
Could you imagine? They're doing a bunch of jutsus, and then Boruto pulls out a gat. The middle of like, all hand signs, and then just and then that's the fight.
Like, why can't you just shoot scrolls with like a bunch of
This
stuff,
reminds me
right?
of this guy. He was like, I don't know why, but for some reason he was convinced I was in a gang when I was in high school. I still don't understand why. But anyway, he had like like those like butterfly knives, like those practice ones.
Yeah.
That are like plastic. Well, he was like practicing to twirl it in his hand. It's like, you probably know how to do this. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. By the time you're done flipping the knife, I stabbed you like 4 times, bro. You're already on the floor while you're still trying to figure out how to twirl a knife. Like, logistically, this is a waste of your time.
It's like when villains monologue. They're like, I have you right where I want you, and then you've stabbed them 6 times since then, and then it's like, oh, shouldn't have talked.
Yeah, it's
You didn't need the monologue.
or like when they recite their plan to the hero.
Oh, literally. Oh my god, it's so annoying. Oh, it's like he's not dead yet. Don't tell him everything.
Yeah. Or they're just like, we're gonna kill him, so we'll tell him everything now.
Just
I
to
don't
see
know.
the look on his face.
I don't know how this podcast changed to annoying film tropes, but
I'm gonna be real with you. It goes however it wants to go.
hey, I'm not
Honestly.
complaining. I'm just like, how did we get here?
It goes anywhere. That's what's great about it. That's the beauty of having no topic in this podcast.
Yeah.
We talk about what
anywhere.
I
Yeah.
wonder if we lost the people from Ireland when we were talking about The Last Airbender. How popular is the Last Airbender in Ireland?
So, if you're from Ireland and you're listening to this, hit
Hit
us
us
up.
in the DMs, please. Let us know. I'm curious.
Do you even know?
And
what
I'll
we're talking about?
screenshot it and send it to Nate for further review.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm gonna write my psych class paper on. This American culture in Ireland.
That would be the greatest thing. And they would be like,
It's psych class. I could probably swing it.
I mean, you can probably swing most things.
I don't know. Actually, I took a psych class where I had to write a paper about like I had to pick a topic and then write about it. And I chose to write about my family, and I talked about like the struggles my parents went through.
Right.
And then after like my teacher read the paper, or my professor read the paper, she was like, "Wow," she's like, "Your parents have been through a lot." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess." They're like, "What is your life?" And then she goes, "What has your life been like?" Literally doesn't even come close to their lives.
Yeah.
My life is so chill. I know I can go home and take a nap.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not gonna eat tonight. Like, I'm gonna go home. Like, the other thing too is like,
Ass food.
yeah, there was this one time when I was in college where like my mom was still like making meals for me. So like I literally get home and I would have like a meal already on the table. And then closer to my last year of college, it got to a point where like I'd come home, make my own dinner.
That your last year of college. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's the life though.
I mean, yeah, but like you also learn like how to do Okay, so my first year of college, okay, like, do you know how to do your own laundry?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so get this. So there was this girl in my first year of college who didn't know how to do her own laundry.
What?
And she was living in like the dorms. So like she was like, I'm running out of clean clothes. And I was like, so go do the laundry. Like go like do the She's like, yeah, I don't know how. I'm like, your parents let you move out of your house
Easiest
at
thing.
the
There's
age of 8. Okay, look, man, I don't know what her parents were teaching her, but like, I'm gonna be real with you. I had to teach her how to do laundry.
How? It's literally you turn on the water, pour in
Yo,
the.
if she hears this is
Close it.
gonna
That's like.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt some feels.
Am I just calling out everyone that doesn't know how to do their laundry?
okay.
Just
So
on the
I had this class where this professor, actually a psychology professor. She was like, okay, I need everybody to get up, and if you don't know how to do it, sit down. And we all go, okay, do you know how to cook? Half of the girl, like usually the girls are the ones. We talked
about this like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, most of the girls know how to like cook,
Right.
but like half of them sat down, and some of the guys sat down. And they're like, okay, who knows how to do like laundry? And then like a bunch of other people sat down. They're like, I still live at home. Like I've never had to do laundry in my life. And I was like, also keep in mind, Nate, that like most of these people are like right out of high school.
Right.
So like they're still like fairly young. And then or like around your guys' age group, sort of, not really. Like actually closer to yours than his.
Yeah.
But anyway, so and then she goes, okay, who knows how to change a car tire? I'm still standing, like, but a bunch of people said, like, isn't that what tow trucks are for?
What? Huh?
And then she goes, okay, who knows how to like pay a bill? And some people sat down, like I think like 2 or 3 people sat down. She's like, okay, who knows how to take care of a child? Like if you had to babysit like a 1-year-old, do you know how to take care of a 1-year-old? A bunch of people sat down. At this point, I'm still standing, and I'm like, okay. And then she goes, does anyone know, what did she say? She's like, does anyone like, what was it? She was like, does anyone have a fear of public speaking? Dude, like half the class sat down. Like just half the class. There was like almost 200 people in that room. Half the class sat down because they have a fear of public speaking. I'm like still standing, like I'm still here. Know what's going on. And she's like, who knows how to do an oil change on a car?
Basics.
Everybody else sat down. And I'm like the only one still standing. She goes, you guys see that guy there? Because this is like the first day. You all see that guy there? She's like, yeah, that's the kind of person you want to be.
Like him.
And I was like, okay. And I just sat down. Everybody's like looking at me. I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore.
As soon as she's like, congratulations, you're like, oh.
You're like, congratulations, you passed my class just for standing all the way through.
No, she's like, congratulations, you're an okay human being.
Actually, you guys want to hear a funny story? I had to take the muffler off my car. That was great.
Oh, okay, why?
Okay, because I'm driving back from my friend's cottage, and I'm like also in the middle of nowhere, Quebec, right? So I'm driving, and then I take a turn, and then I just hear like the most awful sound that you don't want to hear when you're driving a car. I take the turn, and I hear dunk, 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 and I was like, okay. So I pull over into like this like it's almost like a Quebec en route, if that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah.
Like it has like a restaurant in it, and like you can buy like
yeah
cars. It's a pit stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what the hell is that? So I check one side of the car. Nothing looks like that crazy. I check the other side, and my muffler is just against my passenger rear tire. Like it's just like there. And I was like, okay. So like I'm not necessarily like incompetent when it comes to cars, but I am by no means educated. And so I'm like, well, I know that's not good. So I call my buddy who knows a lot more about cars. I'm like, I'm sending him pictures. It's also pouring rain, and it's like dirty. So I'm like under this car soaked, sending videos with like my non-oiled up hand. And so I literally just bought some WD-40 and just ripped my muffler off. And I still had an hour and a half of the drive left. So I threw my muffler in the trunk and was driving home sounding like that asshole with like that loud Honda Civic. It's also like 2009 Honda Civic. Like it's a nice car for all like intents and purposes, but like I felt like such a douche because it just like it was so loud.
Yeah. It's like for those people who like buy like a double pipe just to sound louder.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like because I thought it was funny. I ordered like neon lights for the inside of the car because it's a 9 Civic. That I was like, yeah, I'll put lights on it. It'll be funny. And so now I feel like the douche that's driving at like 11 o'clock with lights on the inside, just like bumping music, and you can't hear anything over over the lack of the muffler. That's how loud.
You keep having like reoccurring problems with your car.
Last time he was on, the radio was missing.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, don't get me started on the radio. Radio's fine. It's still kicking.
All right.
It's like it still triggers me to this day.
Oh, it was the worst. It was just like why now? I drive you all the time, and you decide to break down in Quebec, where I don't like. We're in the middle of.
Have you considered that maybe you hit something?
No, because I was literally in the middle of an intersection. I was in the middle of a turn.
I mean, your car's pretty low drive, so it could have bumped into something.
Yeah, what had happened was like essentially one of the pipes had just rusted off from the rest of the exhaust. So then that part of the muffler just was hanging. So it rusted.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
It didn't just like spontaneously combust in the muffler.
No, there's like I remember this one time I was on the bus to school, and all of a sudden there's like this giant like cage in the middle of the freeway, and the bus driver like just turns, like he like rears the bus to like not hit this giant, like, I don't know, I want to say like 20-foot long, like this thing looked like it could hold a tiger. Like,
what? It was just a cage?
Yeah, like this huge cage.
Straight up cage.
Like straight up cage. And then this guy, like, cause I was like, the bus was so full, we're like all standing, right? And I'm like right next to the bus driver, and this guy standing in front of me goes to the bus driver, "I'm so glad you didn't hit the cage." And then the bus driver just turns and looks at him like, "It came out of nowhere." And I'm like, "Dude, this thing is huge. What do you mean it came out of nowhere?"
5 feet long. It came out of nowhere. It's a cage.
But like it was
designed for this.
well,
bus.
like no. Also, like the follow up was like, who was hauling this somewhere and didn't realize it fell off, like, because it would have made the loudest sound physically possible.
What are you using the cage for?
Exactly.
That's also the follow up question. And then like he radios it in to like the police, because he has like, because you know they can radio you in straight to the police. So he radios in and they're like, "Yeah, we've gone like 6 calls about it. We just sent the drones." And I was like,
Drone?
"Do that now? They send drones to check things out now?"
It's a cage on the freeway. Yeah, we'll send the drones.
Well,
send
no,
the drones.
to confirm. Like that's what they do now.
You got 6 calls about it. Like, we just really want to make sure.
Well,
we
no,
don't
like,
want to
I
waste
think like
anybody's time.
which I think is really cool. Like the other day, I called. I had to call 911 because this guy had like all like these like this like plywood stacked up on his like truck,
Right.
and like every time he would like speed up, you could see it like tip over like ever so slightly. And my dad's like, "Yo, call 911 right now." I'm like, "Why?" Like he's like, "This guy's gonna break, and the guy next to him or the guy behind him isn't gonna be alive to see the next day." Like all of his, it's just gonna fall.
Destination, just like boom through the windshield.
Yeah. So I call 911 and they're like, okay. They're like, what exit? And I tell them like the exit, and they're like, okay, we're gonna send like a drone to like get at like an aerial view of it, and then we'll assess the. I'm like, how are you guys doing this?
Where are all these drones? How are they so close instead of your own police?
No, the other thing too is like, I'm like, how high are these things flying that I never even knew that they were doing this to begin with?
That's a good question.
Like, I've never been like, also I get like on the highway why I wouldn't hear a drone, because like all you hear is the other cars, right?
Right.
But
and
like,
it's not like you're staring at the sky while driving.
exactly. So like, but like the follow up was like, when did we get drones? Like, when did our police force get drones that I wasn't aware of?
Police force got drones.
No, what is it? It's like in I think it's in I can't remember where, but somewhere in the States. No, not in the States. In Europe, like marijuana is still illegal there,
Right.
and people who grow it have to keep their houses warm, but all the houses are like sloped, they're all like pointed.
Yeah.
So like the thing is if you keep your house really warm, eventually all the snow will just melt off the top. So the way that they do drug busts is like they'll fly a drone over all the houses.
See which one's
like
hot.
all the houses that have like no snow on the top of them, there's like a drug bust that's going down.
Crazy.
Yeah. They're
That's
like,
because they're just like you don't need to have a house that warm to be warm.
yeah,
Man, that's crazy.
yeah.
That's
And
really cool.
it's like a really cool tactic too. It's like, I don't need to confirm, I just need a warrant, and that's it.
Yeah.
I have probable cause.
Yeah, think about like other countries. It's like, all right, we're gonna scope it out. Versus Europe, you just fly a drone. You're like, there's no snow on that house. Knock knock. Smells like weed. We're coming in.
Yeah. But like, no, the cop who like they're interviewing, telling us the story, he's like, yeah, it's like the other days, like we did a full cocaine buzz. I was like, who was growing cocaine in their house?
Wait, what?
Yeah, and he goes into like detail about how like they had like their whole basement, like they had like a farm essentially in their basement, just growing narcotics, and like they had like a whole like lab on the other side of it, like pumping this stuff out. Like it was like a full drug operation.
Oh my gosh, that's actually so expensive to even have going.
Yeah,
That means they're probably like dealing.
they were rolling.
They were. Yeah.
They were banking hard. Yeah, no, actually, at the placement I was at, because I had to do a placement or like an internship. They they do like a lot of like stuff with the police
Mhm.
because they deal with immigration. So, a lot of people who come from other countries aren't used to being around police, or like they're scared of the police because usually in their country they're corrupt or whatever.
Right.
So they're like trying to get people used to being around the police in Canada, and to know that you can like go ask an officer for help, and he's not gonna he's like legit gonna help you.
Yeah.
You know, like in other words, like don't be scared kind of thing. It's like that meme where like in America, cops running around with guns, and then like that picture of like this guy spraying a cop with like a water bottle.
Yeah.
You seen that?
Yeah.
Like it's like America versus Canada. It's like the cop running around like shields and like guns, and then like meanwhile in Canada, this guy's like spraying a cop, and the cop's like trying to pour water on him too.
It's like they're like playing with like water pistols.
It's like it's the Canadian Tire ad where they're both pushing their cars in the snow. But
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's literally the funniest. Anyway, but like so they do a lot of like stuff with like with people from other countries, so that way they get used to being around the police, and not to be scared. But then she's like, so we're in the middle of this meeting because we're like trying to do this event together.
Right.
She's like, all of a sudden he gets radioed in that this guy had been confirmed to be drug dealing. He's like, I gotta go. And then she's like, okay. He's like, I'm about to do the drug bust of my career. And he just laughed. And she's like, honestly, I was shook. I was like, this guy probably waited his whole career to do this.
This one moment.
It's just like, remember your training.
But I met this other cop who he had like the funniest stories. He's like, no, he's like, okay, he's like, he did like this whole presentation about the police, and he was like a teacher of mine. She was his brother-in-law.
Right.
And he tells like this great story about how he went around like doing his job without having to.
The cop who.
Oh right, okay, yeah. So the cop. So he was telling us this really funny story about how he's like the greatest drug bust I've ever done it. No, the greatest like arrest I've ever done in my entire life happened by accident. And we were all like, happened by accident? And he goes, yeah. So I'm at a Tim Hortons. It's like 5 a.m. He's going to go get my double, as one typically does at 5 a.m. It's like, I'm already wearing the uniform. I'm already in the car because I took it home earlier, like the night before, because I was going to go to work earlier, right? Whatever, right? So he's like, so I have the car. I'm like in my uniform, and I'm walking out, and this guy's getting out of his car, and I go, hey, and the guy like puts his hands up and drops his car keys, and I instantly go, okay. I say hey, and he's like, and the reason I said hey was because he left his headlights on of the car. Like I was just gonna tell him, hey, like turn off your headlights, because like you left your lights on.
Yeah.
That's what he was gonna tell him. And then he's like, so like he handcuffs the guy's like, you're under arrest. So I have no idea why I'm arresting him. I popped the trunk of the car open, and there's like a lady in there that he had tied up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But he's like all by accident. Like nothing was planned and nothing was
like he just like, drops his keys and it's just like, I'm gonna cuff you now.
It's like, you're under arrest for what? Yes.
But that was the story. He's like, granted, he's like, this happened like back then. I was like in grade 6, and before that, he said it had happened like a decade before that. So we're talking like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
So like this was like way back. So like this was like probably okay back then. Because let's be real, were there rules in the 90s? But anyway, you guys don't know because you never lived it.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just hit Nate like, oh my gosh, he's right.
I mean, we hear stories.
I looked curiously through the Fresh Prince. That's really all I need.
You never saw Friends?
Don't get me started on Friends. Don't get me started. I don't like Friends. I don't.
Reasons?
He just lost a fan. Just lost a fan over this.
I guess it's just not my kind of humor. It's just not for me.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
reasonable enough.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And also, most Friends fans I have met, all they do is talk about Friends. And it's the most annoying thing. Oh my God. It's like I watch Friends. I have a personality. My personality is that I watch Friends. You can do other things with your life other than watch this show.
It's like okay, so like not to be mean, but like when you meet a really pretty girl, like a girl who's like an 11 out of the scale of 10.
Right.
Okay, so this girl is like the girl who got everything in life without ever trying.
Okay.
When you have a conversation with one of these people, they have no personality because they literally had everything handed to them. So they never had to struggle in life. They never had to
never learned from
they
anything.
never physically had to ask for something. So they're like in certain social interactions, like they're the most awkward person ever because they don't know how to like
they're just born.
properly be social because they like literally everything was handed to them.
They've never had to be.
Exactly. So like they're always in this weird awkward state. And I was telling my brother about this. I can't remember when. I think we actually did it on the podcast.
I think we did it on the podcast.
But I was like telling like so like when I tell my parents all the time, like when I bring in a girl home, she could be the most average looking person. Like, and then my dad's like, but you can get so really pretty. I'm like, it's not about that. I'm like, I want someone with personality. Like, if I wanted to marry a robot, like we have options for that now.
You can make a robot have a personality. There's your answer.
That's a lot more complicated than you think it is.
I mean, with recent technological advancements, one day, robot girlfriend, it'll happen. I'm calling it.
Okay,
that's some
probably not in your lifetime.
Hey, you never know.
There's just not enough processing power to make a robot do what the brain does on a day-to-day basis.
You know what? I don't like this kind of negativity.
You're being toxic.
Okay, look, Nate. I'm gonna explain this.
With that attitude, now will it?
Nate, listen. I took programming in college.
You're like, I want a robot girlfriend.
No, look, I know.
It's like I tried programming one. It didn't work out.
I've read all the research on this, and like the way that they graph, like the way that they've worked with neuroscientists to calculate the way the brain works and the way the brain like okay, take this for example. Every 10 seconds, your eyes take input like they intake what is it, like 32 gigs worth of data every 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
And all you're doing is looking around.
Hey, just a lot of external hard drives and it'll
But Nate, if I told you to close your eyes and describe the room around you, I bet you could even describe the painting behind you without having to turn around and look at it.
I'll be honest, I come down into this room maybe once a year. See, now the natural painting's behind me. I don't even know what that is.
Well, the audience doesn't know.
Well, but now that you've seen it, now you could probably tell me what it is, right?
You have to look back.
Probably not.
So clearly Nate's got some faulty hard drives. We're gonna get back to you on this.
It looks like a girl in a wheelchair, but I doubt it is a woman in a wheelchair. Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna leave that one there. It's a chick in a wheelchair. We will.
I was about to be like, we'll be back once and Nate figures this out.
We're gonna take a break right here.
Break. We'll figure out what the hell this painting is.
Anyway, but yeah, so
an hour and we haven't talked about music yet.
I know. I mean, we're gonna just see how long this goes at this point.
It's great. I love it.
But so that's just your eyes. We're not even talking about auditory, taste, feel, all the other things, right? Like your level of comfort if you're hungry, if you're tired, like if your mouth's dry, if your mouth's not dry, like the
all
way
the senses,
the way the air smells, like all of these little the temperature in the room.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna if robot girlfriends are gonna be a thing, at what point, like how far do you try to make them human? Like, do you make them like a full digestive system so they eat?
Well, no. So here's the thing. The reason I bring this up is because the human brain does this all on its own. Like, do you ever remember having to think, I need to breathe? Or like, I need to keep my heart beating? Or I need to keep my ears listening? Or I need to keep my eyes seeing? Like, you never physically, subconsciously do that. Your brain just does all these functions on its own. It also on its own digests the food in your stomach.
Right.
Like, your brain does this all on its own without you having to do literally anything. Like you're just born and boom, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
So there are all these things that your body does, but then like to get a robot to do like to tell a computer to do anything, you have to physically tell it how to do it. Like you need to like when you're coding, programming. I can't talk.
He broke. Maybe he's having some faulty.
No, it's because
software.
I'm starting to think in code. No, I'm starting to think in code and it's not working. So programming software now is at a point where you can put in 1 + 1 = 2. The computer understands that.
Yeah.
So back in the day, you'd have to put 00111 like 001.
Like you have to
like
write
it
it
was
in
just
binary.
lines of zeros and ones. Like it wasn't like so clear cut as it is now. But imagine telling imagine having to explain to a computer what seeing is.
That's a really good point. How do you describe sight?
Right. So here's the thing. The other thing too is like we're getting there through a lot of trial and error. Like for example, cameras now, if you pull up your AI camera, it can like tell you, oh, this is a dog or this is a cat. But it had to go through literally thousands upon millions of photos of cats and dogs being rendered into the software in order for it to identify them, if they even are. And it still gets it wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
No, yeah.
It's not exactly like, wow, that's an amazing technological advancement. Sure, like maybe 40 years ago, if I took my phone out, like back in the 1980s, people would be mind blown. They'd be like, your camera has 3 phones, your phone has 3 cameras on it, and they're all different angles? Like how?
Like, what?
Whoa.
And why are you touching the glass? Like, where's the input thing? Like a keyboard, like a physical thing. I want to hear it click.
I mean, if you turn up the volume.
Turn up the vibration motor.
Yeah.
But like stuff like this that like we all take for granted. Like we all take for granted. Like I was telling my dad how I hadn't realized how grateful I am for the calculator until I was in programming and I had to code a calculator.
Yeah, that must be awful.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Let me tell you right now, it's a nightmare.
Well, it's because you weren't just writing the code for a calculator. You were writing the code for a scientific one.
Well, that too, but like that's not the point. But it's a nightmare having to like being able to write like I mean it's fairly simple. Like it's fairly simple, but the fact that back in the day when calculators were first invented, I don't know how I'm pretty sure they wrote it out in just like ones and zeros back then. And then just hope for the best kind of thing.
It's like, here's a calculator.
Here's a calculator. It's just 0001001, and you're like,
It takes more time to learn how to use the calculator rather than just use it.
than just doing the math.
Exactly. So like, and this is why back in the day they made you memorize the times tables and like how to divide. Like that's why in school they make you memorize all this stuff because back then calculators weren't so widely available.
Yeah. I remember as a kid being at the grocery store with my dad, and he was like, I think I was buying something, and I had to like calculate the tax or something like that. And like I pulled out like I was coming back from school, so I reached into my bag to grab my calculator, and he was like, "No, do it without a calculator, because you won't always have one with you." And I literally went up to him the other day, and I was like, "Guess what, Dad? I have him here." A calculator in my pocket at all times. I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so.
Okay, so I mean that's great, but do
Let's
you know
say an EMP goes
do
up.
you know how much sacrifice went in for you to have that in your pocket now?
Oh, absolutely. But that means I don't have to memorize as much stuff as they did.
But you know what, Nate? What happens when your phone runs out of power?
I charge it.
Fair enough. But what if you? Okay, this other day, when I was in my placement, I can't remember what it was. Someone was like walking by and they said like, "Do you know what 7 times something is?" And I was just walking by and I yelled out the answer, and then they both peered out the office like they just like looked out. They're just like creeping out like, "Who said that?" And I go, "Yeah, that's the answer." And they go, "No, how did you do that?" And I go,
How did you do that?
I go,
Okay.
what do you mean? I'm like, they're like, do you have your phone in your hand? I'm like, no, my phone's on the table at the end of the hall over there. And they go,
Whoa.
thanks. And then they got back into the office a little like weirded out. Okay, maybe I should give some context. In my field, mathematics is like a joke. We didn't go into mathematics because we all sucked at it. So we went into something else.
Yeah.
Like I literally got into my program and the first day the teacher was like, so you guys have to do so and so many hours. Does anyone know how many hours a day that is? And he's like, I'm just kidding. This isn't math. That's why we're here.
Thank God. I know. I had to take basic algebra for uni, and I was like, oh, uh-oh. Thank God it's online.
Algebra? I actually, like every now and then, I miss certain parts of like doing math. I physically miss doing math homework.
Are you human?
Yeah, I am.
Miss math.
Nate, one day you'll look back at school and miss it.
Oh no, not missing school. I'm just.
I mean like even like
missing a certain subject.
No, like you'll even miss like the late nights doing assignments part. And like the worst, well, you're about to start this. The worst is if you blink too long, you'll be like 5 to 6 assignments behind.
Oh my! Literally, I checked the agenda for all my classes, and it was like I had already barely missed the assignment, like one assignment for my psych class. I'm like, there's been class for 4 days. I'm like, yep, okay, one assignment, all right.
Yeah,
Lucky
no, it's crazy. I remember like I remember the joke used to be like, I blinked last night and now I'm 12 assignments behind.
Yeah.
No, it's because like when I was in programming, you carried 12 classes.
Oh.
So like that was the running joke. Like I blinked last night and now I'm 12 assignments behind.
Well, one for each class.
Like it was the worst. But like the thing too is like you learn to, well, I still wake up sometimes and feel like I have something like something
like I gotta go.
This anxiety to like I gotta go like do something or I have something to do, but it's nothing. And then I was talking with a professor of mine who he's been out of school now for like I don't know like some like 8 years, and he was telling us how that's not gonna go away anytime soon. And we're like, why? I still have it every morning when I wake up. We're like, what?
Leave me be.
It's like
I mean, technically, he still has to go to school because he teaches out of school.
Well, no, he's only like he only teaches one class, but he has like another job where like he actually works. But he was saying how he's a really good prof too. His feedback, quality feedback. Like he actually knows how to give feedback. You will learn that is like that's
important
what
with the prof.
Oh my gosh, if you have a prof that just gives you like a fail and doesn't explain why it's a fail.
Oh yeah, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, like or you got a B, but they don't explain why you got a B. Like, how am I supposed to get better if you don't tell me what's wrong?
Yeah,
that was the perfect thing about rubrics, and that's about it.
Yeah, literally, because you build it with your teacher sometimes.
I remember with a professor, I told her like because I'm dyslexic, I can't read cursive, and she would always. I told her like I don't know how many times to, like mark my paper like in print so I can read it. Right. So like every time we'd get back a paper, I'd have this girl sat next to me read it to me, and she's like, she didn't believe me at first, like, and she would like write things out in cursive. She could read it to me. I'm like, I'm gotta be honest to you, like this literally looks like a bunch of scribbles on a sheet of paper to me.
Chicken scratch.
I get that though, especially oh my god, especially in high school. Yo, teachers write their comments and it looks like chicken scratch. Like I don't. Yeah. They're writing there, and you look at that, they look like hieroglyphics. You're like trying to decipher them. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Like you should have been a doctor. I don't know what you're doing here.
No, honestly, doctor notes, chicken scratch.
That's
They're just like here. They just write a bunch of stuff on what you need to do with the medication. You're just like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, they
can read it.
Imagine being a dyslexic pharmacist.
They have the pen in their hand, and then they stop. And that's their signature.
No, yeah. I know, but like, imagine being a dyslexic pharmacist having to decipher these like prescriptions.
No, I remember there was a time my brother was sick. And I think he was gonna miss like a test or something. And you know how you need like a doctor's note?
Right.
Yeah, my brother came home with a paper slip with an L with a little swoosh at the end. With the letter L and a swoosh. I was just like, you paid
$20 for this sheet of paper.
fine. He's getting money from Nike. Leave him alone. Sponsored.
No, actually, it wasn't a test. It was an exam. I missed an exam.
Oh, damn. You got to retake it though?
Yeah, I got to retake it, but it's because I suffer from chronic migraines. So like, if I get hit with one, I'm basically like comatose.
Yep.
I can't move. I can't breathe. I can't do anything. I can't function as a human being. Well, I'm sure you lived it with him.
Yeah, you've seen me. I'm just like, I can't see.
Oh,
and they're just like...
Victor came into band late one time. And it's like, usually anytime someone would come in late, we would just kind of clown them. And so it's like, we're all like making jokes or whatever. And Victor sits down and he was really quiet the whole time. Like, usually he'll talk back, but he was just super quiet. And I was like, Victor, are you okay? And he's like, I'm blind. And I was like, what? Like, what? I can't see. And I was like, what do you mean you can't see? He's like, I can barely see out of this eye, and I can't see at all out of this eye. And I was like, maybe you should go home.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if I can move.
I was just that day I had it so bad. It actually got to a point where I was getting them so frequent. Mr. K would just look at me and be like, yeah, and I'd be like, yep.
No, I remember when I was in my my second last semester of grade 12, I was getting them like every other day. And the other thing too is like I'm convinced. I'm honestly convinced that they were using some type of cleaning product that was triggering me. Because as soon as I left the high school, it went away.
Oh yeah, it'd probably be something like that.
It had to be like something.
There's something. No, I find when I'm in the tower, like there doesn't have to be anybody playing an instrument. It's just something. There has to be something that they're using as a cleaning product in that area.
Cigarettes there, so they try to get rid of the smell.
No,
and then you
like cigarettes don't trigger.
Like in my case, it wasn't like I was always in the H wing, so like it like that was what it was.
Right.
Something that was, but it was like the craziest thing. I got to a point where the office lady would just see me and she'd be like, again? And I'd be like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I remember I told this guy, his name was actually I'm not gonna say his name, but he would like we would have biology together right after. So be like, hey, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm like, tell the biology teacher I just can't today. And he'd be like, okay. Like it just got so I remember when I somehow I passed that class with a B. I still don't understand.
Hey, don't knock it. You passed, man. You passed.
It was like the funniest thing. The other thing too is like, actually, I had a teacher who also taught my sister. My sister has the same problem, but out of the three of us, I got it the worst. Like it hit me so hard, like so frequently. And this one time, she looked at me and she's like, she just instantly knew. She's like, you got it too. But she clicked in her head, like you could like almost physically see the light bulb go off above her. She was like, you got it too.
She's like, oh, you got it.
Yeah. And then after that, like every time, like I remember if I wouldn't show up, she wouldn't give me like a hassle or anything.
She just understand.
Yeah, she knew that like if I didn't make it to class, I like literally couldn't make it to class.
Yeah, it was for a reason.
All right. I think it's time I ask him about his new album.
Forgot.
So did he break up or something? I'm just joking.
Did we talk about this in the last time we talked to you?
Well, yeah. It's because anytime I make good music, it's because I'm going through a heartbreak. So Victor's like, well, since he released something new,
an album, so it's hard to just destroy it.
Everything's great right now. I'm living life to the fullest, and
I don't know about that. I don't think you should be doing that currently.
Okay, to the fullest that I can.
Okay, there we go. With limitation,
within reason.
Within reason. It had just been really long since I had released music, and it was right as school started, so I figured why not start the new chapter of my life with a bang and just release something. So I spent about a week like finalizing everything, making sure it was up to the standards that I wanted it to be at, and then kind of just put it out and waited to hear people's reactions, I guess. And everyone seems to really be enjoying it so far.
Yeah, I was actually listening to it before we started recording.
See? Thank you. I like on the Spotify Artists app, you can see if people are like actively listening to it.
Yeah.
And like I went on like the day I had like started promoting it, like the day it got released to streaming platforms. And it was like at any point basically during the day there was someone listening to it, which is very cool to think about.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's like now on like the platform we use for the podcast, it tells me or it gives me a percentage how far the audience got through it.
Right.
Like out of the list, like how far you got through it before you clicked away, or if you listened to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this one episode, like it's like one of our lowest played episodes. I think it has like 11 or 12 plays. Like it was like it's one of the very first ones, so like there's like no traction on it whatsoever because we weren't even advertising back then.
Right.
But it has 12 plays on it, and all 12 plays listened all the way through. I'm like, those are the loyal ones.
Yeah, those are the people.
Those are the real ones.
You guys have a lost episode, and it's that one.
Yeah, but I'll never tell you which one it is.
Now I want to know.
No.
Yeah, a lost episode. Just go through the archive. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It'll be
one of the 80-something episodes.
what type? Well, it's far back. I know that now. I'm gonna go hunting. I'm gonna go hunting, and then I'm gonna text Victor. This is the one.
This is the one.
This is the one. Like the audio quality is complete trash.
Oh yeah, just the first podcast. Everyone's first release is awful.
Actually, our first episode, like our podcast, as it progresses, you can hear the audio quality get better and better and better.
Yeah.
Because I'm literally refining the audio editing process every time more and more and more.
Oh yeah, I was listening to like my first release the other day, and it's like the same like 10 sounds in each beat besides the melody, and I was like, oh my god, like just looking back at it, not realizing how far you're able to go, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I don't know. Music is like that. Actually, the other day I was talking with someone, and we were talking about how like music has a way of like there's like a mood. Like music has a mood for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And
You can
also,
express any mood you're in through music. I agree.
oh yeah, and like we were also talking about how like sometimes you just want to like those like songs that make no sense, like the lyrics make no sense, and then it's like complete garbage.
So basically everything right now.
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean everything that's popular right now, but like sometimes you just want to listen to that music to feel numb.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. See, because I have a song called Numb. It all works out.
I actually forgot about that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. What is it like? I was telling Victor how like you can literally say almost anything and think of song lyrics.
I'm
Elongated.
Elongated.
Remember how I said almost anything?
The almost is the fine print.
The almost is the fine print.
No, but you're right. I'm trying to break the rule in my head without getting like super graphic. But then if I get super graphic, it's just rap. So really,
super graphic. It's just rap.
that's what it is. Let's be honest.
What is it? The other day I was listening to Kendrick, and there's like I can't remember what song it is where he's speaking so fast, like most of his songs, but like there's a song that he has that like it literally makes no sense. So you're just like, I need to pull up the lyrics for this. Like, what is he even saying?
Or when you're listening to rap and then you look up the genius annotations and you go, what the hell? it's some bunch of random, doesn't make any sense.
Like, but I mean, Kendrick sometimes has like a really good way of like portraying certain issues and like systemic problems in America that are just like whoa, yo, you just called out like your government. What are you doing?
In the best way possible because it was clean.
Yeah.
It was it's fresh, and then you also got this, and you go, wait, hold on, you got to think about it for a minute.
Yeah.
I knew Kendrick, how soon he was photographed like shooting a new music video. We're getting new Kendrick soon. That's all I need in life right now. 2020 will be saved with Kendrick.
It's actually really funny how like everyone's like, you know, we got new Drake, we got new this, we got new, but still no Kendrick.
Kendrick's the only one that matters. Let's be honest. We can all live with that. I like Drake, but like, which one would you rather? New Drake or new Kendrick?
I don't know. I kind of have to support Drake because he's Canadian.
Oh, boo.
No, but I would prefer Kendrick. You're right. But like in that aspect, I have to like, I'm kind of like at an impasse because I'm like, do I support my fellow Canadian or do I jump onto the American? It's one of those things, right?
Yeah.
Also, like the other thing too is like I have a friend who's like she went to school, she's an international student, but she's like I've never met someone so prideful of being Canadian as you. I'm like, why? She's like, you make it a point to say that you're Canadian. I'm like, it's because I don't like look like the prototype Canadian, which is kind of hard to say.
No, but it's like it's almost like overcompensating for not being white. Like, no, I'm Canadian. Me, myself. I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally what it is. No, I was telling actually I had when I was at my internship, this other lady who worked there, she's also a Latin American, and she was like, so because we both speak Spanish and we're fairly good at it, right. And she was like, she one day we were like in a meeting and we switched to Spanish. She's like, oh, I forgot, did you understand any of that? I'm like, yeah. And then like I switched the conversation to Spanish. She's like, oh, so you actually do speak Spanish? I'm like, yeah. And then when we got out of the meeting, she's like, so when did you get here? And I was like,
when did you get here?
I was like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, when did you move to Canada? I was like, oh, no, you misunderstood. I was born here.
When did you immigrate?
Yeah, because like she's like, your Spanish is really, really good. I'm like, but I'm from here. Like, I'm a Canadian. She goes, oh, so you're a citizen? No, I was born here.
I mean, you are a citizen.
Got your green card? No.
Like, I was trying to like explain
it's like, oh, so you have your green card? No. Oh, you got a visa? Wait, are you here illegally?
But she was like, she was so upset because not that she was upset, she was just in such awe because she's been trying to teach her kids Spanish like all their lives and they just can't figure it out. She was like, who raised you? Like, how did they get you to do this in Canada?
That's on my bucket list. Learn Spanish and learn Japanese. I started Japanese and then I stopped.
Yeah, same here.
On your bucket list to learn Spanish. What is it by 20? I think, is it 2030?
No.
Or 20? It's either 2030 or 2035. Spanish will be one of the most spoken languages on Earth, more than English.
Apparently.
What? How?
Nate, think about this. Everywhere below Canada speaks Spanish. On this side of the world.
You were totally right. I think like English. And then like Mandarin.
Yeah. But we're like,
holy crap.
I just blew his mind.
See, now I got to make a song in Spanish. God damn.
Bro, you need help with that? I got you.
I have another audience to cater to now.
No, honestly, there is a whole other side of music.
Yo,
by finding a different language.
You unlock so much. Like we talked about this with was it with Mark?
Yeah.
With Mark. So there's I don't know if you know this, we had Mark Pelly on the podcast.
No, I did not know that.
He's the guitarist for the group Magic.
What?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It's a long story.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to the point. We were talking about how like oftentimes like we'll listen to songs and they'll be like popping in Latin America, like #1 chart. And then they'll come to Canada and they'll play it on the radio and then be like this brand new song. And we're like, dude, what are you talking about? It's already a platinum hit in like Mexico. Where are you at?
Yeah.
Brand new song.
And the person we talked about was Shakira, because she releases so much music in Spanish that the rest of the world misses out on. But like every Spanish speaking person is just like, it's been there for like ever.
Yeah, actually, you know how like I think last year she did the Super Bowl with J-Lo.
Yeah.
So I remember this guy in my class. He was like, Shakira hasn't released any music in a while, like in a very long time.
You're just like naming all of the stuff.
And I go, it's because it wasn't for you. And he goes, what? I go, yeah, she releases like music in Spanish all the time. Just like go on like YouTube and type in Shakira. I'm like, go to her YouTube channel. You like music videos like for like eternity.
And they all got like at least 1 million plays on them.
Over 1 million.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. So he like goes on his like laptop and he like YouTubes her and he's like, dang it, he's right. I'm like, he's like, so wait, like all of this is Spanish music, none of it's in English.
Yeah. So when we say it's not for you, I mean like it's not for you.
It's just you won't understand it.
One of the most important things I think people can do, especially as like as an artist or producer, is sample stuff from other cultures.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot of like the drum beats nowadays are very African inspired.
Yeah.
You know, like that tribal stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Like a lot of it. Like a lot of it. And like certain like guitar parts now, like especially in like American pop music, it's so Latin. Like I'm like, you're stealing that from us, bro. You're stealing that from us.
No, what, man? I was gonna go to Japan in March.
Oh, that's right.
I have no idea. I was gonna bring my mic. I was gonna get set up, and I was literally just gonna walk around and record everything, everything. Oh my gosh, it would have been gorgeous.
He was gonna like walk in and get like the sound from a vending machine.
Honestly, I would have sampled a vending machine. I would. You know how crazy the vending machines are in Japan? They like talk to you and shit. They like join in and it'll like, oh man, that
you can,
they
like,
have Japan. That's what they have. Like they're crazy over on that side.
I mean, you can get an entire meal out of a vending machine.
Yeah, and like a solid meal too, not like some nasty you get here.
You should listen to a podcast done by these like anime YouTubers called Trash Taste.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll give it a listen.
They're also on YouTube. Like if you want to watch the video, they're all like anime reviewers, but like two of them are like from England and they just moved to Japan during the pandemic. So like they talk a lot about like the area and like experiencing certain things for the first time and like a lot about Japanese culture and how it is to foreigners. Like one of them, he's half Japanese, so he lives there. Right. But he explains like all this stuff and like them learning Japanese and like start at the beginning. It's really, really funny. Like some of the things they talk about, and some of like the cultural differences.
I love how we're advertising a different.
I know.
Podcast
What am I doing?
On our podcast.
But yeah, have a listen to that. It's actually fairly good.
I will now. God damn. More Japanese stuff. How could I be mad?
I mean, I guess like they talk about like certain anime that they're watching and like. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I guess it's a spoiler, but like you could just
whatever.
Yeah. So you've been like watching TV or like just working like a
What have I been doing? I was working 2 jobs for a bit just to save up money. That took up most of my time of August. But now it's really just school. I skateboard like all the time. That takes up most of my time too. What TV have I been watching? That's a good. Oh, I've been watching Cobra Kai. That is a good show.
We are done season 1.
I just finished season 1 today.
We finished it when it first came out and haven't touched it ever again.
Yep.
Super original. No, now it's all on Netflix. So I was like, I'll watch it. Literally as soon as this ends, I'm gonna go watch the 2nd season.
You know what's really funny? The way we watched it was like it came out on YouTube Red. And like, well, that's what it was called. Was it called YouTube? Or yeah, it was called YouTube Red back then.
YouTube Red, it was like original.
Yeah, but it or I don't know. Anyway,
it was something on YouTube. It was
something, but like someone leaked it onto like normal YouTube.
No, it wasn't even leaked. It was actually them.
No. This was before it was free.
Oh yeah.
Like it had just come out and somebody like leaked it onto like normal like someone re-uploaded it onto like normal YouTube.
Right.
And we like watched all the episodes, and like a week after we finished, it was all taken down.
Oh, you guys made it!
Yeah, we just made it. What?
Oh, have you never heard that expression? By the skin.
No, we didn't hear it.
We didn't hear. Like it cut out for a bit.
Oh no! I said you guys got by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All I heard was
this thing. I was watching I think I was watching In Time, that movie with Justin Timberlake. Where like they all have time on their wrist and that's how long they have to live. I was watching it on YouTube and then I swear to God it got taken down like a couple days after and then got re-uploaded again.
Well, I haven't watched that movie. It's so long.
I haven't seen that movie either. I think I haven't seen it since it came out. No, actually, I don't know if I've told you this. I had a friend who she was telling me like we had her on the podcast.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, we listened to our episode with like my whole family in the car.
Whoa.
She has like a 4-year-old brother, and I was like, whoa, wait. Your 4-year-old brother listens to us.
We have to start censoring ourselves Not in terms of cussing, but like
Yeah.
topics.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, certain things like I'll just chop out. Like there was this one time we were talking about
Gonna have to get chopped out.
oh no, I'm gonna explain without saying it. We were talking about relationship stuff.
Ah, right.
And then all of a sudden I go, you know what? I'm like, after like 10 minutes of this, I'm like, I'm gonna have to cut up the last 10 minutes of this because I remembered that a 4-year-old listens to us.
Okay, but that 4-year-old must feel kind of special because now that 4-year-old is being catered to for the entire podcast. This podcast is for that 4-year-old now.
I mean, there are some things I let slip by. Like, I think in our second episode, our guest swears. I think he messaged. No, he doesn't. No, you hear the tail end of it. You hear
Right.
the T at the end.
Enough to make it out.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't crop it out. And he texted me. He's like, hey, bro, in minute this, at this second, you can hear the T at the end.
No, really?
Yeah, he texted me, and I was like, oh, okay. And I went back to that exact
thanks.
spot, and you hear the T. I'm like, dang it.
It's been an hour and a half.
Yes, it's
What?
been an hour and a half. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
time just flies, man. Time just flies.
You're having fun. Am I right?
Sure.
I mean, it's all right.
I guess my last question, which he's already struggled to answer, is what's your favorite song on the new album or the new EP?
Now I have to remember all of them. God.
Let's play them all real quick for the.
Yeah. Play the whole tape on the podcast. No. That's when you go over to my Spotify profile and give me the streams. That's what we do.
Yeah, it's gonna be linked in the description.
Okay. Because somebody else.
You're always linked in the description.
Exactly.
That's true.
At the way bottom of like season 2, every episode, you're at the bottom of the description.
Hell yeah. Okay. I like the question you asked because some people like ask me what's the best song on the album.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what's my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite would probably be Ghost Town, the one at the end. That's a cover of a Kanye West song. Simply because I think it was a lot more creative than a lot of the other stuff on the album. Not saying that the other stuff wasn't creative,
Yeah.
but like for example, I found the drum loop and then I played the guitar live. I played the bass live, but then redid the bass digitally. And I just had a lot more ideas, I guess, and that made it feel a lot more special to me. Especially since it's like the first cover song of me that I released, I guess.
Yeah.
So that made it feel pretty special. So that one's probably my favorite.
All right. And now, what's your best?
No, I'm gonna ask which one has the most meaning to you.
Off the new one?
Yeah.
Can I look at all the songs?
Yeah, sure.
I need
Just
to
look at the. I'm looking at it too, so you know, like I'm looking at it.
We're looking at it.
Great. All right. Which one has the most meaning? That was the question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a very good question. Which one has the most meaning to me? Honestly, a lot of these weren't emotionally charged as opposed to my other releases.
Wow.
These came from like, I'm gonna make a beat, and then release that. Instead of being like, I'm in so much emotional pain, what do I do? I'm gonna
No, honestly, when I asked you, I'm like, so did you break up or something? Honestly, I was like,
that's the thing. I'm like,
what is it? I was like, at one point, I was telling Victor because it had been a while since you had released. Like, yo, we gotta get in touch with Nate's girlfriend. We gotta tell her to break up with him. We need more music.
awful to him. We need more content.
no, honestly, we should just get her on to like make the whole plan.
Why just organize the breakup so I can make more music.
Yeah. We're gonna coordinate.
The most meaningful. Probably either stars. Yeah, probably stars to me. Simply just because I think it is like a I think it's really unique sounding. It's not a typical, I don't want to say lo-fi, but it's not your typical low-key beat that you would typically hear. And I had a lot of fun making it. And it was kind of a way for me to discover different ways I can make beats, if that makes sense. I don't always have to typically go with the traditional format of like it samples a 90s R&B song, and people would probably flip the lyrics during that song and just loop those lyrics. But instead, I did a lot of like effects chaining and stuff like that, and put a little bit more of, I want to say, future bass house aspects into it more than I did lo-fi rap elements into it. So that one was kind of more versatile for me, and that one made it really special.
Okay. All right. I got one last question. This is probably the hardest one.
All right.
Which one did you spend the most time on?
Oh, okay. Are we talking time in the project? Because I started Ghost Town in like February and did it. But that was because like I had started it and then I didn't like where it was going, so I left it for a while and then I came back to it.
Okay, look,
so most time and you count all of that, then
quick anecdote with me. So I started writing music again because I'm like, and I'm getting into it like in the most bizarre way. Like I'm literally typing out chords into my phone, like just like in sequence. Yeah. Like just literally piano chords into like in sequence on my phone. And then but I spent like 2 hours on the sound of a hi-hat, and I played it for my brother, and my brother goes, "Why didn't you just use a shaker?" Because it literally sounds like a shaker now.
He changed a sound entirely, and it literally just sounded like a shaker. I'm like, why don't you just use a shaker?
Take the hi-hat, you maybe pitch it down a little, then you move the attack a bit so it's not as sharp, and then like you start so it's a shaker.
Yeah, but it was just so funny because I had just spent like 2 to 3 hours on it, and then Victor goes, "Why don't you just use a shaker?"
Which one did I spend the most time on? Okay, I'm gonna do process of the elimination. Good Times is definitely not the one I spent the most time on because it is a very simple one. Not Sleet either, even though I love the turnaround on that song. Basically just because Sleet's also really simple. Honestly, probably Mirror, because in that song, if you listen to it, there's 2 different melodies, and I really wanted to get the melodies right. And so the first melody that plays in that song, I played on guitar. It doesn't necessarily sound like a traditional guitar because I put a bunch of effects on it. But so the guitar is the first melody that I played, and then I played the second one just on a keyboard, like with bells. So I spent a lot of time making sure that sounded the perfect way. And then, was that me? After that, it was like, I had like strings, and then I was experimenting with horns. I really wanted to sound as like, almost majestic. Majestic's not the right word, but,
I go for nostalgia.
Yeah, nostalgic. Yeah, that's the best way I would put it. Yeah, so probably Mirror.
Okay.
All right.
And I didn't even think about this. Like before, I was like, I wonder what they'll ask. I was like, I wasn't prepared for like. I was like thinking about my own music. I was. Oof.
Well, like it's hard. Like there are times you're like the song I wrote. I haven't touched it since I wrote it. But I was telling my dad, I'm done with this, and he goes, "But what's this for?" And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, like what's the play on this?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, are you going to like throw this on YouTube or something? Like, what's the end game here?" And I go, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I just felt like making it. He's like, also, what would be the context in which this would be played? And I was like, what? Like, I literally just sat down for like 9 hours and wrote this. I don't have time to be thinking about these kinds of questions. Like it just came to me. I put it down.
Yeah.
I do encourage anyone that makes music to just put it out, because you never know what that song will do to someone that listens to it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like in my case, like I don't put any of my stuff out because I'm kind of backlogging stuff for future stuff that I'm working, like, because I have
A lot of projects.
We have so much.
Just a lot of projects. We're
So,
gonna leave
like,
it at that.
Yeah, so like also like because I'm trying to figure out a way because like we're hopefully moving in a direction where I'm gonna need a lot of background music soon, and I don't want to be sampling other people's music, like or like taking hit on. I want it to be like our music, and people be like in the video chat, "Yo, where do you get this song at?"
And then
You
instead
can-
of just linking
Oh,
up
nice.
free music or whatever.
Yeah.
I get that.
So like it's just another way of like diversifying more than I already. It's just so complicated nowadays. Honestly, like I cannot anymore.
I know that's another thing for me for the rest of 2020. I want to start making my own sounds.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. Instead of just tweaking little by little stuff that people have already made. It's like I got a wavetable synth for cheap. And so I'm like, you know what? I might as well just try and make my own stuff. So that's the next goal. Next release in 9 months, be prepared.
Someone write that down. 9 months to this date. Everybody hit him up.
This is a verbal contract.
Where's it at?
Oh Lord.
Well, I just all of a sudden he wakes up and his inbox is just flooded with messages. Where it at, Nate? Where it at?
You promised us to release.
That's it. Call his girlfriend up.
We have audio confirmation, and it's just like the sound bit of you saying it. See you in 9 months.
Oh wait, I'll give you guys a good clip. See you in 9 months. There you go. And then if I don't,
That's just gonna be flooded in his DM.
Yeah.
I'm expecting my phone to be blown up.
We're gonna set a reminder and we're gonna make it happen.
I'm gonna just get everybody who's ever been on the podcast to message you.
I mean, hey, that's more traffic. Boom. That just means people want the music, right? Right.
It's interesting. Like I often like. That's the thing too. Like sometimes I don't like especially when you're looking at. We've talked about this already, but when you look at analytics, and you're like, how did, for example, like we have people from India listening to us. I'm like, if I can just tap into that market, you know how much more traffic I would get? That's a huge market. That's its own market. That's how big it is.
Like I want to think about how like I ended up getting played in like Lagos, Africa. Like how did that happen? Who found my music in Africa?
Yeah. Well,
Like-
we also had a guy who I did my internship with. Actually, his name was Emmanuel. He also writes music. He has a song that I can't remember that he uploaded it to. I don't remember where he uploaded. I think we uploaded it to YouTube, and then someone else, not him, uploaded it to another streaming platform, and it has like over 1,000 plays.
Good for him.
But like it's crazy, and he doesn't even understand how it happened.
Just wake up one more.
It's funny because he's like, yo, back home my song popped off, like it was being played on the radio.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like he was like, and here I'm just a normal guy working, like
He's like, how did this happen?
there's no comment.
Money yet. I feel like you really have to start making music because you like making music, and then eventually the money will come. You can't start making music to make money. I feel like you won't make it that way.
So is psychology the backup plan?
No. Because I honestly just do music for fun. I've made so much, so little money off music that it's not really like, I'm not pursuing it for it to be a career. If it ends up being a career, that'd be great. I would love it, but I'm not banking on it. I'm just focused on getting my degree, honestly. And then we'll see where life goes from there.
Well, I can tell you, as the state of like being done, being in the state of limbo, it's rather it's kind of in the.
Yeah.
I was telling you, actually, we talked about it in the last podcast. I feel like I'm in a state of limbo right now,
Right.
because like I'm in a position where like I can contribute to the family, like economically, but like I don't feel like this huge pressure to get a job weighing over me, but like I'm also not working. But I'm also trying to find a job in my field while just casually hanging out every day. Like I'm in like this, like I'm in the most like I feel like I'm almost retired. It's so bizarre.
I mean, if you could be retired at what, 21, 22?
23.
23. I like to be retired. And like right now you can't do anything else but just like keep going out for interviews and waiting. So enjoy the freedom.
Yeah, but it's like it's this really bizarre feeling because like also everyone's home all the time now too. So it's like we're all just like casually hanging out all the time. So it's like, what are we even doing anymore?
And especially now that I'm doing like at home learning.
Oh,
So for me,
gross.
like you're stuck with me, bro.
I know. I was telling him how like also like my job, if I get a job, it's all confidential. So I'm trying to get a job in a field where I can't talk about my day-to-day life.
Oh.
While being on a podcast.
So what field are you going into?
I study social service worker, so.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's all confidential. It's all confidential.
Right.
I can't talk about anything. Nothing at all.
So let's talk about it.
On that note, I think we should wrap up here because we're almost at 2 hours.
Oh my God. Yeah, honestly. I mean, if this is like a very high played episode, then maybe you guys just have to start doing 2-hour podcasts.
Oh my goodness.
No. Oh.
Like, no, please.
There wasn't even an ad break in the middle of it.
Yeah.
We can do an ad break. What are we advertising? Let's find something to advertise and we'll just put it in the middle.
I'll just put it in the middle. Just grabs an entirely different advertisement, throws it in there.
You know what? I need you to advertise your own Spotify.
Yeah, put my own ad in my own episode.
Comes up with like a little jingle.
So guys, this episode is sponsored by us.
Sponsored by the dude you're currently listening to.
I love how like actual YouTubers do that because like there's like no sponsorships right now.
Yeah, so like I mean,
what is it? Like a lot of like people who have like merch lines. Like Mr. Beast does that. This episode is brought to you part of you. Our merch line. Get your Mr. Beast sweater now.
It's just him.
Yeah.
Like a lot of YouTubers do that now because like if they don't get a sponsor, like we're sponsoring ourselves.
We're sponsoring ourselves because we're broke. Buy our merch. I should start Outlaw merch. That's what I should do.
We're already looking at merch.
Yeah.
Pretty sick. You know what I want? This is not going to make sense to anybody. I want turkey hater merch. I hate turkey. I despise turkey. You know what turkey is? Dry chicken. I'm glad
I thought you were going to be like the country.
Oh, no, not the country. All my homies in Turkey, shout out.
I was about to say, clearly you've never seen the women from Turkey.
No, I'm talking about the animal. Have you ever?
Okay, so I think the problem at hand here is that you've never had good turkey.
No. I've had good turkey. Just good turkey.
Oh.
You were saying that turkey is just dried chicken, but that's inaccurate because I've had juicy turkey.
Nah. Maybe is this a conversation for off the podcast, or do I have to do it now?
No, this is an off podcast.
Right.
You know what? I think we should wrap up. We can continue this conversation.
This is like it just keeps going.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys wrap up, and then we'll have this conversation after.
All right, guys. This has been Two Latin Brothers Podcast. We'll catch you guys later. The links to Nate's everything will just be down in the description, as always.
I mean, his Spotify is literally linked on every episode of season 2.
Yeah.
So if you just don't watch this episode, if you're watching this episode, but you go back, you can still find his Spotify link in the description.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Go listen to it.
Yeah. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you can, follow us. If you can, leave a comment. Hit us up in those DMs. If you go to Anchor, you can even leave your voice asking us a question. Maybe you'll have your voice up here.
You can even message us a message, like
Yeah.
your text.
You can do that too. And make sure to share with everybody. Make sure you share with your grandma, your donkey, your goldfish. Who knows? You can share with the rest of your farm for all I care, as long as we get those plays. In other words, guys, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bye.
Adios.